Huh?
Would you drink this?
Yes.
If you
Where are y'all
look
gonna
at
put our little hot plates to boil our water anyway?
chapter 7,
Yeah, they took all the stoves out of all the buildings.
if you would just quickly open up your book to chapter 7.
Oh, I don't have my book.
Chapter
Chapter 7.
All right, are we all there? We have chapter 7.
Systems thinking.
All right, what's the title of the chapter?
Living in the world of systems.
Living in the world of systems. So now, this book has carried you through 6 chapters of talking about what could be the problem, how do you do this, and then how do you design systems around that, right? Those are the 3 different categories. What is it that they're telling you at the very end? And this is something that I think we need to discuss.
This is the one where we can't actually have any control or understanding of the system.
So you should dance to the system.
Here's exactly that point. After going through all of this, they're basically saying that you are under an illusion if you think that you can control a system. What's that?
Sorry.
That's right.
These Kindle Fires have a mind of their own sometimes.
They do.
You need to read.
All right, so we have discussed in operations research, in statistics, in lean, the whole thing that the mindset has been is that if we have an understanding of a system, we can predict it and we can control it. Chapter 1 through 6 has kind of explained to us what are the different definitions and components and where those traps are and so forth down the line, and then says it's going to come. And then it comes back and says that really the best that you can do is look at the system and play along, what is it called, dance with it? Dance with it, but you can't control it. Tell me, are they right or wrong? Just because a book says something.
I would say I agree with that, and what you were talking about at work, right? Well, you went home, but like at work, right now I'm in a direct conflict with my ops manager. So everything I do to try to keep systems running, she does, she would rather shut everything down and shut the doors, I think, at times. And that's my interpretation of it, but like I say, it's her job is to keep the facility safe. My job is to keep the equipment running. And they're not in alignment. Now, the problem is, I don't have any control over her. All I can do is play along and work with all the boundaries that she's put in front of me to try to do my job. So the only thing what I've found is, I'll tell other people, like, go talk to Lisa. Sorry, I can't help you, go talk to Lisa. For everything, all the different issues. So, but exactly what I do at work is, I just dance with the system and do the best I can and then leave, right?
Sounds like you need to have a crucial conversation.
It doesn't matter. I have.
All right,
We
is
looked
this-
at
is
it, we
this
had a
been taped?
conversation yesterday, she's like, do you agree with me? And I'm like,
See, it's funny because I have no conflict with her.
because he doesn't, you don't work with her, ever, right?
He doesn't work.
Oh, he doesn't work.
I've already said that earlier, but no, he doesn't work with Lisa as an ops manager, right? He's got different ops managers, right?
She's ops manager.
So anyway, like yesterday, we had a conversation on a problem, and I presented a solution, went to my DAR, and we were in agreement. She did not like that, so she's like, do you agree with me? And I'm like, no. Do you agree with me? I'm like, okay, sure. I mean, that's the way we go, because she has authority of everything, right? She can stop everything. So I agree with what that says, is we don't really have control in a lot of cases.
Right.
I think certain elements of systems change, every second. So, I could clean out the circuit board of an alarm system that we're working on. I mean, the second I walk away, a speck of dust changes that,
Mhm.
and falls on something and fries a circuit board.
That's right.
Someone asked me, why didn't you see that? Why didn't you clean that? It changes constantly.
All right. So how many in here agree with these two gentlemen? That systems cannot be controlled.
I didn't say they can't be.
Well,
I mean, but there are times when they can't be.
because the book is saying to you that the best that you can do is to get to know the system intuitively, understand what's going on, and then manage that thing. Okay? The reason, because you have read the chapters, is I want to present to you a different case. We may not be able to predict every single thing, and I do think that within what we present in engineering, that it is flawed. Flawed in the sense that I cannot take any of you or this classroom and model it in its complete robustness. That's very difficult to do. For me to understand you as individuals, it is very difficult because, as you can say, anything at any moment can change. But that, if I do that, then I have a slight disagreement with chapter 7. I do agree with that thing, that there's a lot of things that we cannot control. We cannot understand. But do I need to understand everything about you as a human being in this class? I mean, do I really want to know about that conflict? Does he want to know about my conflicts? No. What you have to do is to understand within those smaller components of that system. If it is my relationship with you is what? As a student in one of my classes. So what must I understand? I don't need to understand what the conflict is. Maybe only do I need to understand about the conflict with respect to what I need to assign to you. And if that is occurring in 12 other places, then that's an issue to me. But if it is not, then that's not it. Every system, for example, I believe, to a certain extent, we should be able to understand and control to the best of our ability, because what classes have taught you that? Statistics has taught you that. And I'll give you examples. And you tell me, do you think, and many of you I know are in maintenance, right? Do you think that we can predict the failure of a piece of equipment?
Yes. You can get close.
The machine is a system, isn't it? We don't know what each of the various components are doing. How? And I have a master's student at this moment that is looking at particular type of equipment right here. Can I tell you that he can predict, based on information out of Meridian and information out of NASA, that he has shown that he can predict with 90% accuracy the failure of that component one day before it fails. Now, I'm not saying that it applies everywhere, fair enough? Well, how did we do that? If the book says it is so difficult to do, to understand the thing, that I do agree. I don't even understand my kids.
Well, the difference is the scope there. I mean, a piece of
This is
equipment-
scope, that's
It's not a-
absolutely correct.
It's not a dynamic system.
Right.
What's that?
The argument here is that the systems that you're trying to control are dynamic.
Are dynamic.
What you're looking at is a piece of equipment that has a finite behavior. It doesn't adapt.
It's still dynamic, isn't it? Because the machine is
It
changing.
ages,
Right.
but it doesn't evolve.
And there's
Yeah,
limited
it
amounts
does,
of
yeah.
things you have to look at there, right? I mean,
What's that?
there's limited amounts of scenarios or parts that you have to look at.
Okay.
And so you can do that, predict one piece of equipment, certainly.
Right. So let's talk about what we can do, so we separate the two concepts, and it's clear. And I know that other than one person out of Rubbermat, everybody else is here from either ORNL or associated with Y12. Do you think that we can predict when people at ORNL are going to leave ORNL, either for retirement or for another job, or Y12, whether we can leave them or not?
You might be able to get close to numbers, but I mean, you wouldn't be able to predict a particular person leaving. right? But you could say a certain percentage that might leave within, right?
Here's what because we have done that study over the last 3 or 4 years with both ORNL and White Cloud, that we have been able to predict within a person or two of the number of people that have left ORNL and the number of people that have left White Cloud. And it is not by individuals, but however, we know the individuals, but we know whether there is a carpenter or electrician or an engineer or a manager, we know who they are. How did we predict that? Tell me.
You have a certain set of parameters that you're looking to.
What are those parameters do you think that one can, again, it's not important that we identify the entire way, but I want you to understand the difference between what we're talking about in the book and what we can do as engineers.
The leverage points and bottlenecks.
For example, there's a difference between ORNL and Y12. You know what the difference is? You know one of the key factors at ORNL was what? The stock market. The stock market is one factor that indicates whether the individual at ORNL is going to retire or not, but not at Y12.
Because of the pension.
At Y12, it is more about the local economy. Why? I don't know. But I can tell you, beyond, the points and the things that qualify you up, there are certain factors that indicate to you that you're going to retire or going to find another job or not.
So does that mean inherently that you're predicting the stock market at the same time?
No, we put what the stock market is doing at this moment. So that becomes a stock market. Then you had many other variables to it, and you put an equation. And the reason I'm explaining this to you is because if I can take how do we describe it? A system in its different interpretation, if I can understand the key components that are impacting that behavior, we have, not with perfection, absolutely not with perfection, but we have the ability to predict.
But
What's wrong?
by that, are you predicting and controlling? Are you saying you use the prediction to plan the control?
We're predicting the prediction, we're trying to predict who is leaving, because at Y12 and ORNL, it takes you a fair amount of time to be able to get somebody to replace you. That's what was the key emphasis. And one of these was, I think, funded by ORNL, and the other was funded some time ago by a PDRD at Y12.
Are you still doing it?
It is done. The question is, at this moment, is our feeling is that it is not accepted by human resources.
I'm curious because at Y12 now, I feel like you almost have two separate systems. Because you have certain people who are hired that have certain benefits, and then certain people now that do not have the same. And
This was prior. The data that we used was prior.
Yeah.
But what I could tell you is, was the voluntary separation?
3 years ago, 2012.
We actually predicted that. So you could actually, the model says, whoop, these are the number of people leaving to do it. And the question is, it's not the thing, how did we do it? What else do you think that you can predict? And then we'll go back to the difference between what we're talking about and what the book is talking about. What else can you predict? What do you predict at work or at home?
I can predict whether or not we'll get all 24 projects done in one, or how many projects will get done in one outage based on looking at one key leverage point resource group.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I can predict for you the number of sales of hydrogen fuel cells. You forecast or predict. What is a forecast? A prediction of what is going to happen to the weather. You're going to predict how much work is going to come to your area. So if we did not understand systems, and let's define again, we'll come back to your point of defining systems. How is it that we are not with accuracy, not with 100% accuracy, but with some level of accuracy, How do we predict what's gonna happen in the future? About a particular organization, about a particular machine, about a particular group of people.
Based off of past experiences.
There you go. Two components. Either we build it based on past history. If this is going on, this is going on, this is going on, this is going on, then that's what's gonna happen, right? This is what they call time series. Or if I say, the sales of coffee, watch, it's not historical, it's based on the temperature today. If it's colder, you're gonna have more sales. See, that's not historical, that's not based on yesterday and the day before yesterday and before. I'm bringing what? A variable in. I have two mechanisms by which I can predict things. One is based on historically this is what's happening, so it's gonna continue to go on. Or two, the sales of coffee is dependent upon the day of the week and the temperature of the day.
But that's based on history too. So you get those numbers off of historical measurements on cold days during the week, right?
Yes, we do. But again, it's not historical because historical means I only look at the sales of the coffees, and if the sales of coffees is going up, I'm just gonna keep on predicting that's gonna go on. Now, so we can predict something, do we agree? And you do that at work every day. Do you predict the behavior of people around you? So this is scientific. The first part is the scientific part. This is, I've got data, either time series or causal methods, and I can predict. So, okay, that's the engineering part. What do you predict intuitively? When you go home today, is the house going to be happy or not? Jeremy? Did you just laugh?
Today more happy than it has been in the last few months, how about that?
Is he making a prediction? Based on what? I want to know, what is he basing it on? He doesn't have any data, does he? He's not basing it on data. How is he predicting what's going to happen today?
Making assumptions, right?
Tell us, how did you do it?
Well, that I get my Fridays back after this class.
Well, you don't know what I'm going to ask you, like last semester.
So she knowing that this will be my last class for the semester, then, we have plans other than school-related work for this afternoon. Should be, barring some other catastrophe, she should be happier than she.
Which is the assignment that I'll give you. Okay.
I'm gonna give her your phone number.
Tell me, how do you, today's what, Friday? On Monday, when you go to work, how is your boss gonna behave, or your supervisor gonna behave? Predict to me if they're gonna be happy or not. Very happy. How do you know that?
He's been away from his boss for about 3 days.
You see what they're saying. I want you to understand that there is something called engineering-based prediction, but you are smarter. What the book says is the following: that the human mind is so strong, it is so perceptive, that beyond the engineering tools where you can scale down a component into a machine or into a particular problem and you can predict it, the human mind is intuitive enough to be able to figure out what that system is doing. They may not be able to explain it to you, but they can do the predictions on it. Is that true or not? Tell me.
Well, even having a normal conversation, you do that, don't you?
I'm gonna say something, and I can kind of almost predict your reaction to what I'm gonna say before I say it, because I've analyzed how you're gonna react and formulated that in my thought process.
All right, say something to me that would you predict that it's gonna make me happy?
All right, so if I was to tell you that they're opening up your case for review at my work to see if you guys can come in and partner with us, that should make you happy.
I would never work with Ken Dahl.
See, so, but it's all a judgment. What I think is based on what I know about you and based on how I know that you operate. So the more that you're able to actually know someone or a system, the more that you're able to take and put that into your thought process of how that system will react to certain stimulation or certain inputs.
Tell me about body language. I want you to observe around, and I want you to tell me who is engaged in this class and who is not engaged in this class.
Jay is not. Actually, I'm not.
I want you to observe, okay, because I want to show you that you are predicting not only because you know that system intuitively, but you have some measurements, intuitive measurements from that system. Tell me who is engaged in this class and who's not. I can tell you who is and who's not right now. I can go down and say they're engaged or not engaged. I know that about every class. Somebody called me about one of the students in here and said, do you think you will recommend them for this or not? And I made a recommendation based on what I see in class.
Eye contact.
Tell me, you look around and you tell me, predict. A human being is a complex system, isn't it? Is it a complex system? We're saying that we can have engineering data and I can look at small systems and predict them. I'm saying to you the second category is humans themselves can look at it intuitively, and by looking at certain particular things that you can judge what's going to happen. And then there are systems that we do not have a clue of what's going on. So rather than the book saying we do not have systems that have clue, I want to categorize them into smaller systems, somewhat more complicated systems, and large complex systems.
What's the difference between the right brain and the left brain? The left brain is logical, whereas the right brain wants to see things
Who's an expert on left brains and right brains here?
Well, I just had to read a book on project management.
Yeah.
No, but I'm serious, the simultaneous concept, understanding, intuitive, that's all right brain. Whereas our left brain's like, you're an idiot, because you can't tell me exactly what it is that's causing you to come up with that idea. And the right brain's like, no, you're an idiot, because you don't actually see things simultaneously, just like that.
All right? I want everybody to look at this young man right here.
Billy.
Billy.
It's
a
I don't wanna
joke.
say it on
It's a
camera.
joke.
It's one of the professors, so.
That's okay.
One of the professors called me Billy for about half this semester.
I think I know the professor.
That's okay, it works.
We like it.
Yeah, Billy.
It's stuck, so.
So Billy,
Yeah.
look at Billy. Tell me about Billy. It just changed,
Yeah.
you know.
Yep.
Tell me about it.
He's open.
Tell me. What do you see? Let me tell you what I saw. Eye contact. How was he sitting?
Forward and sitting this one.
What does that indicate to you?
Well, the way he had his hands clasped, I assume that he has clear understanding of the topic. People do that to me. It's like
What's that?
it's a sense of like power or confidence when they put their fingers together.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now let's identify one more person here. You choose. Billy, you choose.
I get to choose this time?
Billy Mill.
You choose.
He didn't change his posture at all.
So tell me what you see.
Feels old.
Overachiever.
I think he's hungry for a salad and washing down with a lot longer. A lot longer.
But you see, that even though I do not understand what is inherently going on in that individual, you do have the ability to dance with the system, because there is that ability intuitively, a human being does that. And then there are systems which are completely, to me, clueless. So here's the way I want you to look at it. There are certain things that when we talk about scalability, and I think that's what you mentioned, is scalability, is when you scale it down, you can historically predict it with engineering tools that you have. Secondly, you can intuitively look at a particular system that is a little bit more complex and get an idea of where they are from a particular perspective, not the entirety of it, but from their particular perspective. And then third, there are systems that you have no clue about. Give me an example of a system that you have no clue about.
Woman.
What was that? A woman. Brave.
You're single, right?
You're on
Yeah, I'm
camera.
single.
That's why you don't understand. Well, explain this to me, Rocky, now that you have opened this up.
They're dynamic, buddy. They are dynamic.
This may not be a good class.
Except for the ones in here. They're awesome. Good save.
Good save. All right, tell me of a system that you don't understand. I can name two.
You name two that you don't or we don't?
I think that neither of us. I can name three.
Yeah.
Let me tell you what they're called. They're called the University of Tennessee. They're
Football
called.
team, how do you understand
Oh.
them losing to Savannah? I mean, that's a perfect example, right?
I was wondering why you're still wearing the Tennessee shirts.
Still a fan.
Not a fair
Yeah,
love
so-
fan.
Oh, I see,
Hey.
I see.
I'm getting my degree from this place. I oughta.
I work for that place. I do not understand UT, I do not understand Y12, and I do not understand ORN. Now, you notice, this is where you want to take it. I told you that I can predict for you machines to a level that if you give me the data, I can put it in and I can predict it for you. I can tell you that some things I cannot understand, but I can look at video at you. And we can take a look at Billy and say, Billy is engaged or not engaged. And there are other systems where you say, what is Y12 going to do, or what is UT going to do, or what is ORNL going to do, or what is Rubbermaid going to do? I am clueless to this point at this moment on how to do this. If that we were not so clueless, all I can tell you is this. On election night, I was watching TV, and at 8 o'clock, a candidate was supposed to win. At 10 o'clock, nobody knew who was going to win, and at 12 o'clock, they predicted that the other candidate was going to win. Why could you not predict it? If we had how many people taking polls and all this kind of stuff, what happened?
Inputs change.
Well, the information was bad to start with, really, or non-existent.
There was one poll that.
Can we go to a word that we use? What was the word that you use?
Inputs.
Adaptive, yes.
Yep.
Adaptive, changing, dynamic. When you are at that level that this must be shifting over time or whatever is happening, they couldn't do this. Are we okay? So I did not want to leave you with a book that says you cannot do it. I wanted you to understand the three categories that we have, and you should look at it and say, can be predicted? Small stuff, yes we can. Larger stuff, maybe intuitively, and third is really some things that we can't.
Not today.
Tell me about Carl. System?
Yes.
Yes or no?
Yes.
You can predict her, or is she in category 1, category 2, or category 3? No, Rocky, don't say a word. Rocky has, I know what Rocky's gonna say. Category 1, 2, or 3? It's a system. She is a system, right? A lot of your examples, like we have, a lot of the case studies that Mark brought in, a lot of the stuff that we talked about, is all about systems from a process perspective. But your book always talked about what? Biological. People. There's your system. Tell me about that system.
I would say it's medium because, I mean, she's consistent. If she were unpredictable, she probably wouldn't be here because she would be crazy and would have left us by. So, I mean, she's been with us for a year, you know, these last 2 semesters. So, I'm sure there are things like every one of us that are unpredictable, but there's probably more that we can predict. So, I'd say probably in that medium.
So you can tell me about that system?
What do you mean to like?
You said
Go
medium.
further into it.
Your medium, that
I'm
means
saying
I cannot write a mathematical equation, but I can tell you about it.
Well, using your tiered approach, like I said, I don't think it would be in that category 2 in the middle. It's not a easy system. It's not totally we can predict every behavior. I don't think you can do everything.
All right.
But I don't think Carla is certainly.
Okay, can I tell you this? I have a family member that every so often gets in trouble. I actually collected data on him, and I can actually predict within a month or 2 or 3 when he's going to be in trouble. Yeah. But that was not the entirety of the person, a very small component of that person.
Right.
Predict for me something, say something about that system. Tell me about that
It's
system.
very responsive. It's a very responsive system. When we have concerns, people will go to Carla. They know that's where to go, and she addresses it.
She complains to me.
Yes.
I do not.
However, it's addressed. I mean, we
She
don't.
complains to me, said, look at what they're asking me to do.
Right.
They want me to go do this.
Right.
See, there's a conflict right there.
So we deliver feedback to her, and she's our mechanism for that feedback to get back.
So we give negative, she gives us positive. She may give you negative feedback. No?
No, she's pretty nice. Every once in a while, in a blue moon, she comes and says, look, this is what they said. What should I do? Do whatever you want to do.
That's only because I care.
We appreciate
That's
it.
not what she says. What drives her, Billy?
Boots.
Yeah,
Tell me,
okay.
I mean, okay, we can predict her. Tell me, why is she responsive?
Well, I would say it's, that's her job. She takes pride in it. She appreciates being part of this program, and certainly appears like she enjoys working, with you and going around to the different companies that you all work with and learning more about this. So it's an extension of her motivation to do well with her work.
What is she managing? What is the stock she manages?
Your vision.
You.
I have no vision.
You do, you want you to be number 1, right?
I want our program
There you go.
to be number 1.
So she's helping to manage that stock.
Why does she do it? I mean, she doesn't have to. And I'll tell you something.
'Cause she
I call-
cares.
That's not systems engineering. She cares.
Well,
That's
she's got her own.
That's intangible.
Intangible.
Yeah, there you go.
She's got her own stocks
That's it.
that are
What
feeding
stock
into
is
this.
she managing that aligns me? I can tell you this. Yesterday I came back home late and she says, and here's what she did. She said, I'll come and pick you up. I said, you don't have to, because from Oak Ridge to here, from Lenore City to here is much quicker. And she said, no, I'll come and pick you up from your home So she drove all the way to town and then came back because, why did she do that? The question here is why? Not that she did it, there must be something that's aligned. What is it that we've aligned?
Your safety.
Because she would have to find a replacement if you couldn't make it to work. You have to get,
No, he could have driven.
Huh?
He could have driven.
maybe she doesn't trust you to get to
goal.
get
Maybe that's it.
I think there are many things that, you know, feed into that motivation. Like I said, she obviously takes pride in what she does. She takes pride that she understands that she's a feeder to your success and the program's success. So whether it be money is part of it, whether it be just personal motivation, personal accomplishment.
Like the stalk of your friendship, and I'm sure you do for her, and she does for you, and that.
All right. Here's the model. And Carla, add in whatever you want. There are three things that we manage for each other: growth, value, and autonomy. Growth in the fact that as we work together, we will grow together. And this program will grow to be hopefully the #1 program. Value. What is it? The stock that we control. The stock that we control. It is not about Carla, come and pick me up, or I'm going to do this or that. It is about that growth. It is about the value. That within this context, that everybody here fears value, including her and me. And the fact that autonomy, where she says, oh my God, look at what the students do. I never tell her what to do. I said, go do whatever you need to do. The autonomy to do, make decisions, feel valued, and in the process to grow. If I can manage those three things, and she can manage those three things, and we all can manage those three things, she will come and pick me up there. And if that is not part of the growth, that stock that we manage, she will never pick me up. It is not about the action, it is based on fundamentally what you are managing. Is that what we manage? Watch her say, absolutely not.
Yeah, but today I picked you up because you had a few things you wanted to know about. Now, would I have picked just anybody up? No, because that's an extra almost 70 miles from me. But I care about him, not just professional and personal.
Because she thinks I need a lot of help. I think that's good. Do you see that? What is that we're managing? I am not managing this relationship. I am not managing a individual personal relationship with you. I'm managing those three things. Do you grow? Do you feel valued? And do you have the autonomy to make decisions on the things that were given to you? If we can do that, we believe that we will have a mutual ability to do things. And if we don't do that, then we don't. Are we okay? Right. Use this class. Please, I teach lean, and I focus in on lean, and that has been a big part of what I've done professionally. But if I was to say, pick one class out of lean and systems, the lean will give you tools to supplement, but it does not give you the bigger picture. For example, when you say leverage points, remember we talked about leverage points. I can have leverage points here at a tactical, or I can have leverage points at a strategic level. If I have a leverage point at the strategic level, your impact of what you can do is going to be much greater. So you want to use this class. From a lot of perspective, I mean, we talked about resistance and tragedy of the commons and all those sort, but those are normal phenomena that if you look at them, then you say, what are the traps? What are the opportunities? What are the systems? What is this? How is this? And you get a better understanding. I'm not sure that that's the only thing that we manage. But I know, deep down inside, whether it is my students within my group, that's exactly what I manage. They must grow. By the nature of what we do, they grow. Are they part of my team? They do things that other graduate students don't do. They go to the sponsors. For example, I've got 2 students right now that are at,
They're in Selmer.
where?
Selmer.
They're in Selmer, Tennessee. Somewhere near Nashville. They're my clients, they're my sponsors, but I trust those students to represent us well. Value. Autonomy. Am I telling them at this moment what to tell the sponsor? No. If I can manage those 3 things, generally speaking, not always, generally speaking, you'll see that your relationship with individuals in an organization is going to work well. I cannot ask Billy here not to grow. If I say, all I want you to do is take a can, do this, watch this, do that for the rest of your life. We ask people to do that at work. You may be laughing, but that's what we're asking people to do. And when they have no growth, do you think they're going to like you? When you never go in and say, I really appreciate you moving the Coke can. How many of you feel valued within your organization? Watch this, just look around. Not even 50% of the people raise their hand. Autonomy. How many of you have the ability to make the decisions at work that you think you should make? We were just talking about that.
Yeah, I can make decisions, but they're gonna die. Yeah.
What's that?
Very good.
What was that? So could you, okay, here, what if I don't give you an assignment this semester? Like, go do this. Okay, and it's simply a promise. I want to make sure that we're communicating this correctly. Would you promise me that as you go into work and into different work environments, that you would start at least using the verbiage and the thinking process that you've learned in this class?
100%.
Absolutely.
Shall we? So that when I go into somebody says, go fix this, for just 5 minutes, if you would just take 5 minutes, sit in a chair and say, okay, they're asking me to do this. If I was to sit back and look at it, not from just, let's just go fix something, but if I was to look at it from a systems perspective, where do I find there exists a problem? What are the problems? And then you can go into lean and operational research and statistics and other stuff that you have, bring in the tools to fix that stuff. Are we okay with that? All right? Good. Ron is coming up with.
Is that in your rephrase?
What?
Is that in your rephrase?
No, I mean, I didn't, you want me to give him an assignment? No?
Are we talking about a second assignment or the final one?
No, like assignment says, go do something, go take 4 hours and teach somebody for 4 hours or something like that. I was thinking about doing this. No? How many people would say no?
What about just sending you an email of how we've done systems
All
thinking?
I want is this. You have to promise me that you are not going to use this as part of the way you think, as a repertoire of how you analyze systems. That's it.
I think that's natural, right?
No, not necessarily. There's a lot of classes. As a student, I used to take classes. I just sit there and at the end of the thing, I'd say, what have I taken back? There's not much I've taken back.
Your classes are way better.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Good job. And notice what he said. Notice what he said before. It's going to be really good at home today because there is no class. Did you notice that?
It's a paradigm.
So take a break and Rod's going to do
A paradigm.
I just didn't get something else.